do you want?
Dude, I just did the trade of a lifetime.
So what was the trade exactly?
So I sent Bijan Robinson and T. Higgins. I figure I should get rid of them before their stock goes down.
Okay, so you better have gotten some studs. Who'd you get?
Dude, you're never going to believe it.
I already lost interest.
I got Nick Chubb, and I got Jonathan Taylor as well. The J train is finally running through Polk High.
Fucking idiot. Actually, next time I have a hot trade. Maybe you can cancel that one real quick?
I'm listening. Welcome back, fake football managers. Another week in the books, and half of you are still losers.
Sucks to be you, man.
Notice how I said you there, because I, personally, haven't lost yet.
All I do is win, win, win.
Last week's matchups were not barn burners by any way, shape, or form. Most of the games weren't even close, and the closest one wasn't really even that close either. Let's take a quick look at some of the matchups last week, and then I can get into my predictions for week 3. First up, we have the Deadly Venom's 55-point blowout of those Dark Side Gray Wolf. Just one wolf. Packet, I told you to not go single wolf anymore. You need multiple, at least 3 wolves.
I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
Basically throw a dart on Jerry's team and you can see somebody that showed up, with the exception of Chris Godwin and Dallas Goddard, maybe.
We try the best we can.
Kyrie Williams led the way. Lamar right behind him. Saquon had a big game, although you're not going to be able to use him this week. And Devontae Adams does Devontae Adams things again.
Good.
And for Darkside Grey Wolf, you really never want someone to say this about your team. Other than Patrick Mahomes, Terry McLaurin was the next best person. When people say that about your team, it means your team didn't do very good.
Terrible. Terrible.
Pretty much the whole team let you down, and you would have scored 3 more points if you just hadn't even played a defense at all. Go Giants. Wasn't close, wasn't interesting. Let's move along. The next biggest blowout is this 48-point massacre that the Seminoles put down on Hostile. Jalen Hurts and Deebo Samuels definitely showed up for Hostile. Jordan Addison and the Saints defense probably overperformed a little bit. But Etienne was trash. Josh Kelly, not a factor. Kyle Pitts, I mean, you dropped him, so I guess you know about him.
Crash, 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 crash.
Basically, you need Austin Eckler to win, so hopefully he doesn't play this week so I can beat you too. The Seminoles finally got the benefits of the Herbert-Keenan Allen connection. Keenan Allen was out of his mind on Sunday.
He's crazy.
The Steelers' defense outscored his quarterback, and then Derrick Henry, he does what he does as well. Pretty well-rounded game for the most part for the Seminoles. Let's move on. The next biggest blowout came by our resident ass whipper, Super Duper Wacky Razzles, who put a 40-point beatdown on, at the time, the number 2 team in the league. Those crazy Austin, Texas G-Dog Warriors. We reached out to the team's mascot for comment, but he only growled and tried to bite our hands. Bad dog. Funny enough for Super Duper Wacky Razzles, it wasn't the Tua Tyreek Hill combo that got him all these points. CeeDee Lamb went bananas, and Devontae Smith had a really, really good Thursday night. Tony Pollard had a pretty good game, and the Cowboys defense just keeps performing. That might be the pickup of the draft.
Well done!
Really, the only weak spot on the team is the tight end, Dalton Kincaid, and he still somehow managed to put up 8 points. For the G-Dog Warriors, Jacksonville basically did dick all of nothing. Lawrence with 8, Ridley with 5, basically kills your chances at winning.
I'm fucking dying here! I'm fucking dying!
McCaffrey always has a big game, and TJ Hawkinson looks like a really great draft pick as well. Drake London even gave you a good game, but I just don't think you're ever going to get past it when your quarterback and number 1 receiver don't do anything.
It's really unfair.
And for the next biggest beatdown, that will be my Polk High Panthers. We took out the motherfucking Tumbles, and we had 30 extra points to throw on top of that. I feel pretty good about this win, especially since Nick Chubb basically went down in the first quarter of his game.
You know he did.
Justin Fields still very underwhelming, but a nice little garbage time touchdown salvaged his day just a bit. Bijan Robinson is kind of a beast. Pretty happy that I picked him up. T. Higgins was basically the only Cincinnati Bengal that wanted to catch anything that day. Amon-Ra has been the most consistent player that I've had ever in fantasy. I've had him now for 2 years.
I love you.
I know.
Mark Andrews coming back really helps the team. And the Eagles defense is super weird. Like, the first half, they shut it down and they turn it over and it's bananas. And then the second half, they're like, we're good. They're probably not going to catch up. And they just let people score. So hopefully they figure that shit out. Losing Nick Chubb sucks, but again, didn't need him for this game.
You're fucked.
And for Tumbles, absolutely no one showed up. Watson didn't really do anything. Gibbs didn't have a great game. Waddle didn't do that much. Wilson had an okay game, especially since no Rodgers. Chase was awful. And Kittle really hasn't been helping you that much yet either. Absolutely no production from your team at all.
You gotta do something. We gotta do something.
So yeah, I get a sneaky win, and again, I'm gonna take it. I don't care. I will keep this one. And finally, the only, I guess, close game was South Park Cow's 8-point victory over Simply Slats.
That is the gayest thing I have ever heard.
At least this game came down to maybe a touchdown or two, one way or the other. Justin Jefferson led the way for the South Park Cows, with James Cook not too far behind. Fairly respectable scores out of everybody, 120 points, nothing to scoff at. Good job, Dave, on the rebound. I know it's hard to lose to such a great team, but I think that I made you better, and I want to take a little bit of credit for this win.
You make me want to be a better man.
And for Slats, at least Josh Allen showed up. 112 points isn't awful. I wouldn't really be expecting to win every week with 112 points. I think eventually Josh Jacobs will probably show up for you. He didn't do that today. It's not the greatest week for you when Josh Allen has 28 and Stephon Diggs only has 13. Like, what the fuck's going on there? The 49ers defense letting the Rams score that much kind of kills your team too. But, I mean, at least this one was fairly close. A couple of points give or take, and maybe Slats comes away with a victory here.
So close.
And now on to the next week. We have 3 0-2 teams in the league looking for redemption.
You're worthless. You're less than nothing.
And 2 of you have to play undefeated 2-0 teams. First up, Hostile already got a pretty good start on me. Deebo Samuels getting some garbage time touchdowns at the end of a game seems ridiculous. Just kick a field goal.
And we just want to kick it with you.
I still think this is going to be a pretty close game. I'm debating on who I'm going to actually play this week. I really want to play one of those 2 running backs that I picked up, Brian Robinson Jr. or Moss for Indiana. But I'm looking at how many targets the guys that I'm playing right now are getting, and I feel like it'd be dumb to play anyone else. I really do think this one might come down to the wire. I hope that it's a close game, and at the end of the day, I hope Hossa ends up 0-3.
You can't win. You just can't win.
And now we have the 0-2 Darkside Grey Wolf trying to take out the Behemoth 2-0 Super Duper Wacky Razzles. Honestly, at the end of the day, if somebody can take out the Wacky Razzles, I'm going to assume it could be the Patrick Mahomes Travis Kelce combo. Kelce's got another week back in the practice system. I'm going to have a hard time saying that this thing isn't going to pop off sooner or later. Statistically speaking, the Darkside Grey Wolf is ready to explode.
Look at this graph.
I don't really love James Conner or Raheem Mostert either. You're definitely going to need to get some production out of those 2 guys as well if you want to take out the Wacky Razzles. The Tua Tyreek Hill combination also is probably ready to blow up again. They kind of had 1 game off right there, so it's like 50-50 for them to explode with touchdowns. Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, they're probably not going to miss either. And the Cowboys defense getting to play against Arizona is just not fair. Literally the only weak spot here is the tight end. And that's really only because he's on Pittsburgh and they are trash.
This is the worst.
It should be a closer game than Wacky Razzles has had before, but I still think he's going to take the win and go 3-0, leaving the Grey Wolf at 0-3. Our final 0-2 team, the motherfucking Tumbles, they take on the 1-1 South Park Cows.
Oh! Oh, yes! Yes!
Tumbles already got a pretty good start with George Kittle dropping a 16 bomb. I'm not a huge fan of playing Russell Wilson as the quarterback though, and I think that might come back to bite you. And Jamar Gibbs hasn't really been given the reins yet, but this week might be the one because Montgomery is down. So hopefully you get some production out of him, but your receiving core is top notch, so any of those three guys could go off for God knows how many points. South Park Cows is going to need Joe Burrow to step up. He needs to let Amari Cooper know that yes, indeed, you are still playing football in the league. He needs James Cook to show up again, but mainly he just needs Justin Jefferson to show up because that guy's good for close to 40 on his own.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
I think this one's going to be close, but with Tumbles already getting that good start from Kittle, I'd have to lean his way at the moment, making him the only 0-2 team I think's going to get a win this week and end up 1-2. Sorry, Dave. Next up, the Battle of Mediocrity, the 1-1 Deadly Venoms taking on the 1-1 Simply Slats. Now, Slats had the San Francisco utility stack going on Thursday night, and he ended up with a sensible 23 points from it. Not a bad outcome at all for your Thursday night players.
I'll take that.
You definitely need Stefon Diggs to show up this week, so hopefully Josh Allen can hit him a few more times for you. Josh Jacobs definitely needs to figure out what he's doing, and I'm really not a big fan of Stevenson, so hopefully get a little bit of production on him. As far as the Deadly Venoms go, we need you. Lamar Jackson needs to have a pretty big game for you this week, and getting Aaron Jones back is definitely going to help. Kyren Williams is definitely a great little addition to your team, and Devontae Adams is always going to Devontae Adams. There's absolutely no way to stop that.
I'm unstoppable!
All that said, even with a decent little start from Slats, I'm probably going to lean into the Deadly Venoms here. Basically, as long as Lamar Jackson has a decent game, I think that the Deadly Venoms will get a win. Lastly, this is my pick for Game of the Week. The 1-1 G-Dog Warriors taking on the 2-0 Seminoles. Definitely two of the better teams clashing here. Now, I don't think that the Thursday night affair really helped the Seminoles all that much. Darren Waller didn't really get a whole lot going. And Christian McCaffrey had a pretty average night for himself. If I'm playing against Christian McCaffrey and he ends up with 22 points, I'm kind of okay with that. I really think that at the end of the day, this one's going to come down to whoever's stack works better for them. Will Herbert and Allen keep connecting and giving all kinds of touchdowns to the Seminoles?
Touchdown.
Or can Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley figure their shit out and make it rain for the G-Dogs? Are going to have another big game, which will give the edge in this one to the Seminoles.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
But for real, I think this is still going to be the closest game of the week, and I think that it's going to come down to those Seminole players playing on Monday night. Puka Nacua, which is a very fun name to say, and Evan McPherson.
Nice job, you fucking kicker!
So there you go, guys. Another manager's message in the books. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to set your lineups, and if anyone is looking to get Nick Chubb on the cheap, you guys let me know, okay?
Knowing when not to quit, that's always harder than throwing in the towel. Don't assume you can't handle a tough situation. You don't know that until you try. But you can't solve your problems by running away from them. That just makes things worse. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. And that's a tip to you from me, Mr. T.